Everyone, in this video, we are going to talk about licensing. So do I need a license is one of the most common questions I receive from healthcare and healing practitioners. We're going to cover the definition of a license, insurance and billing. Just a little thing about that. What kind of activities can you do in a private association, health, healing ministry, unincorporated association, church, and licensing within a PMA, like is the founder of the PMA licensing others in the private association, and a positive outcome for an unlicensed chiropractor. So when we're considering the private domain, the definition of license is permission to do something that would otherwise be illegal, but that wasn't illegal until government or a state decided to license said profession or activity. By asking permission, getting a license, you are agreeing to conduct business within the public domain and agreeing to give other entities the ability to regulate your business. There's no need or requirement for permission when operating in the private domain. There's no need to volunteer to allow regulation to be imposed upon you or your business, your own private association, your unincorporated ministry, your unincorporated church is the vehicle to take your activities to the private domain. So if you like this content, please subscribe and share. And if you also want to have a more of an in-depth look at these protections afforded you by the Constitution, see my series. There's 4 of them on constitutional protections. I'll try to put them up on the screen. Sometimes I manage that and sometimes I don't. But anyway, there's a series of 4 and it's more in-depth. But what you do in the private is not the public authority's business. What you do in public as a licensed practitioner is regulated by them. So there are limitations on what you can do and say. But in the private, within your private association, and private is private is private, and only for members, those limitations, they're not there because it's not public. Many doctors do establish a private association, and some of these, they maintain their license so they can still work in the public, write prescriptions. Maybe they need to have a license for lab results, that sort of thing. But then they move their members into the private, I should say patients, because they're patients in the public. So they move their patients to the private as members to treat them outside of the jurisdiction of the state medical board. Both domains are not in the PMA, and there's a lot of situations going on, especially recently, where people are mixing the public and the private. We are, when there's case law being referenced and used, unless we're saying, okay, this is upholding what we're saying, but case law applies to the public jurisdiction or the bar association jurisdiction, okay, not the private jurisdiction. But we can use case law to affirm our position. So the licensed practice is a public domain practice. Afterward, the patients become members of the PMA and are treated in the private domain. But public domain business is still regulated. The private domain activities are not. Okay, so do you need a license? Kind of your decision, but definitely not in your private association. In a private ministry, church, or association, what you do in private is governed by the terms of the agreement that the members have consented to, including arbitration internally within your association. So if there's a grievance or there is a conflict, they are agreeing to have that handled internally. And remember, they're signing a membership application and probably a member intake form if you're a healing practitioner. And that's a contract. Everything's a contract, especially if you put your name on it and you've signed it. So there's a question about insurance, and there are providers that are still using what's called a super bill. So, for example, someone comes to me, they pay me cash for a donation or a spinal alignment, and then I can hand them a super bill and they can submit that to their insurance. Otherwise, if they have a huge PI, personal injury practice, this doctor or chiropractor, also a doctor, may maintain that public license. Okay, so they can still use that license to do billing for their PI practice, but they're keeping that separate over there. That's public. Okay. What activities? You can do all kinds of activities: online courses, bodywork, products, retreats, farmers markets, and so on. It can be part of the activities. It's all dependent on your founding documents and the wording. So keep in mind, your own PMA offers you the most protections. It offers you the wording to say what you're going to do. You don't need licensing from someone else's PMA. If you get their license, and some may want to, but you don't need it. If you get their license, you're operating under their rules, and they can change those rules anytime they want. So just remember that. All right, some super positive news. A chiropractor was challenged, and they had surrendered their license during the pandemic, and then they sent some correspondence back and forth. They found out that they had some undercover prospective clients inquire in an effort to incriminate. So then the chiropractic board also issued a cease and desist order to intimidate this person into becoming legal again after they had told him that license was permanently rescinded. See, so they wanted him actually to have a license to give the board the jurisdiction again. Okay, but it was permanently rescinded. So they just go back and forth with this stuff. The only legitimate issue that the board had was that they thought that information on the website was saying that, or they were misleading the public into believing that this gentleman was a licensed chiropractor providing chiropractic services to the public, which was not true. Right? He's not licensed. He's not saying he's licensed, and he's not providing services to the public. He's providing services to members only. And they're going overboard to inform the public that he's not licensed, nor he's not pretending to be licensed, and no services to the public. So what a great test. Something for y'all to watch out for in your state is what you need to do if you're going to do any advertising or public speaking or anything. What does your state say? Okay, remember, rules, regulations, statutes, codes are not laws. And just what do you want to do in this case? It's like, okay, I'm going to go overboard to make sure that people know that I'm not licensed and I'm not providing services to the public. So you can always advertise for members. We advertise for members, so we do have to tell them why they might want to become a member of our association or our healing ministry, our church. But we're not advertising so much for services. Okay. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this clears up a lot of just thoughts. I won't even say misinformation or confusion, just thoughts about how this looks to each of us in the private domain. And we'll see you in the next video.